All right, so I'm just going to have you start off by telling me your name, your age, and where you currently live.
My name is Mike Muller. I'm 60 years old and I live in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma.
Perfect. And Mike, how long have you been an artist?
I have been an artist, I would say, since I was 10 years old. That's when I first had a real interest in learning how to draw.
And what, how long have you been printmaking, or when did you get started in printmaking?
I have a joke about this. I made my first print the day I was born, and it was my footprint on my birth certificate. and To be serious, though, I actually started learning how to be a printer when I was in high school. I had one minor, lino cut experience in middle school that I really liked, but in high school we went on a tour of a screen printing T-shirt shop, and it turned out that the gentleman who owned it was a childhood friend of my big brother, and so I kind of made that connection, and I was really fascinated with the process, and I told him I remember I was a freshman, or no, I was a sophomore, and I said, look, I want to learn how to do this, and I'd be willing to work for you for free if you'll teach me how to do it. And he was really kind of blown away that I said that. He goes, you can come over here after school, and I'll pay you to work, and I'll teach you how to do it. So we kind of made that agreement, and I started working for him in high school, just after schools. And then when I graduated high school, I really couldn't afford college at the time, so I went to work for him as a full-time screen printer. And for 5 years, I worked in the screen printing industry doing T-shirts, bumper stickers, posters. We printed almost anything that would come in the shop. We printed circuit boards, all kinds of stuff.
That's so cool. I always love hearing how people their stories about how they kind of get into one particular craft or medium. Um, you mentioned you started off you're 10 years old, you were interested in drawing. What other art forms are you interested in, or do you practice?
I got interested
Yeah.
in photography because my mother, uh, she saw that I was interested in art, and she gave me a little Instamatic, Kodak Instamatic camera, and I used to take that with us on trips. And she would expect to see pictures of people. And I remember one of the first things she noticed was that none of my pictures had people in them. She's like, Mike, where are all the people? But what she did notice was that I was taking these scenic photographs that were abstract and really unusual for someone my age. I've always had kind of an eye for abstract composition.
That's really cool. Um, how did you're a teacher now. How long have you been teaching?
Over 30 years.
And what made you
I started when I was 27. I'm 60 now, so it's like 33 years.
that's awesome. Um, what what kind of led you into the teaching world?
um, so I became a teacher partly because I was trying to further my career as an artist, and I thought I really wanted to be an artist. And then as I was in art school, I was trying to go to the next step, which is to earn my master's of fine arts in printmaking. And I was applying for schools, and I just couldn't find any scholarships. And finally, a school offered me a fellowship, which was teaching. So I would be teaching in exchange for my discounted tuition. And so I went ahead and accepted that at the University of North Texas. And unbeknownst to me, it was one of the top printmaking schools in the country. And so I really lucked out there. And I just began studying printmaking and teaching my undergraduate classes. And I just noticed through the process of teaching, I started to learn that I really loved it. I really loved communicating about art and seeing people's eyes light up when they figured things out that I was explaining. And I started to learn that I had a gift for it.
I mean, I always think there's nothing better than when somebody finds their passion. I know oftentimes a lot of people don't even ever, they go through life and they don't even find it. So,
You're right. Yeah,
yeah,
I
I think
feel
it's,
I feel lucky that I found that and was able to find a way to make a living at it.
yeah, that is really, really awesome. So congrats to you for being able to do that. Yeah, that's wonderful. Um, when you are when you are doing your own, you know, art or your own paintings or, you know, screen printing, how do you describe your artistic style?
My style.
Yes.
If you're familiar with surrealism, I would say mine most closely resembles surrealism with a little bit of pop art in there too. I really like pop art, and I've always loved the bright colors and the popular subject matter in pop art. And so sometimes I like incorporating that into my work. Uh, I also really love the weirdness of surrealism. Just trying to make pictures that seem like they're real, but a little bit beyond reality at the same time.
Very cool. Um, what do you think is the most difficult part of screen printing?
Probably learning how to register the colors so that they all line up right. That's that's a big, especially when you're using multiple screens, because you've got a piece of paper that you're printing a design on, and then it's on the screen is attached to hinges, and then if you're using two screens, you're taking that screen off, putting another screen on, and then you have to figure out how to line that up to your design, and you put little what they call registration tabs on the table where you're printing, and each time you print, you put your paper in there. Learning how to create a really reliable registration system is important. Also, holding the paper down, keeping it from sticking to the screen. Sometimes it's just a matter of having the right equipment. They make vacuum tables that pull air down to hold the paper to the table. That helps with registration because the paper doesn't slip. And there's all these little things, like if you can have more elaborate equipment, it kind of makes the quality get better. I think that's another thing that I loved about printmaking, not just screen printing, but all printmaking, is I like working with tools, and it's kind of gives you a sort of a way to kind of, it's like a, I hate to say this, it's sort of like a cheat, but it's kind of like it gives you a way to distance yourself from the artwork a little bit, and you have kind of a chance to draw it first and then kind of see it in another form and then translate that to the screen. And there's lots of steps along the way where you can make corrections and stuff like that. I was never really strong at drawing in my earlier years, and so I was attracted to this art form that incorporated a lot of photomechanical techniques. As I got more adept at drawing and painting, I kind of moved away from screen printing and got into other print mediums. Like monotype is one of my favorite print mediums because it's basically like making a painting on one printing plate, and then you just print that, and you get one print out of it, and that's it. Um, that would be a neat thing to do for the competition too, because it goes so fast. But
That's we always like we always like input because I think the most fascinating thing for me, and I think I speak on behalf of the other producers involved with the show, but we don't know a whole lot about these arts mediums when we're getting into a project. So it's been really fascinating to kind of learn how all of these different mediums work and how the artists work and just how time consuming it can be. It's been really fun.
one of the things that most prints have in common is they all have a matrix, meaning you have to create a block or you have to create a screen or something in order to print the image. And monotypes or monoprints, monotypes, they're a non-matrix image, meaning that you work on a printing plate that's blank. You could work on a piece of plexiglass actually, and you just paint your design on that. So it's more of a it's a print technique, but it's a very painterly look to it.
Okay.
So that's kind of a neat thing. I love
Yeah.
screen printing for its graphic quality.
No, this is all good information to know. So I appreciate you letting us, yeah, letting us into the world a little bit. Um, how do you think the city of Oklahoma City has influenced your artwork?
Can you repeat that?
Yes. How do you think, or has the um, has the city of Oklahoma City influenced your artwork at all?
Oh, okay. I would say I have been influenced in my artwork. I've been influenced by my state, Oklahoma, as a whole, probably more than just the city, um, which Oklahoma City. I grew up here in Oklahoma City. I was born and raised here. Um, it's influenced me in the sense that I feel like we have such a strong core community of artists in this city, and it's like an unknown jewel. Um, I feel like a lot of people in the country don't know about it. And when you see Oklahoma as it's portrayed in the media, it seems like a very conservative place where not many artists would want to be. But sometimes those kinds of places are what forge really good artists. And I think maybe if you want to know what has Oklahoma City done for me in terms of influencing me to be a good artist, you could say maybe some of the things that it doesn't do have, some of the things that have happened here and some of the attitudes that you see here by the large population have helped smaller populations of artists like me really want to work hard to get our message out there. I guess something that comes up, like a lot of things, we're sort of known for a tragedy here with the bombing that happened. Um, but there are so many positive things that have happened here too that we're not known for. And I'm like, I wish that hadn't have been what we became famous for. But I'm like, I feel like we're starting to turn that around. So it's like out of a tragedy, Oklahoma City, I think we decided as a whole that we need to heal ourselves and come out of that and be better. And I've seen the city since I was here pre-bombing and post-bombing. I could say that after that, people started to care more about a lot of things, and art was one of them.
I think that's a great answer. Um, yeah, it's interesting. I have a an aunt who lives just outside of Oklahoma City in Edmond, and we drove through when we I was moving to Kansas City, um, and yeah, I've it's been a long time since I had been through Oklahoma City, and it really does seem like there has been a big boom there, um, similar to Kansas City, where the arts have started to pop up, and
Yeah,
we have the Crossroads district up there where there's a ton of artists and artwork that can be found. Um, and I think that's awesome that Oklahoma City's kind of going through that same expansion, if
well,
you
I've,
will.
I've recently heard that we're like one of the top 10 cities for public art. I mean,
I
there are
actually
murals everywhere. There's
I think
sculptures
you
everywhere.
all yes, I think you all take the cake for murals. That was actually one of the things we were looking into doing, but it's probably going to be a little too hot for murals. So, um, what is your end goal, if you have one, with your artwork?
My end goal with my artwork is to have connected with people. You know, um, I like to say that artists as a whole, artists, we like to make visible the invisible. We like to help people notice things that they're not noticing. And so I love nature, and I love calling people's attention to the beauty of nature through my landscapes, through my photographs. But sometimes I really love trying to show the beauty of ordinary, the beauty of the ordinary, like this cat. Just the beauty of the ordinary. And so some of my subjects are kind of mundane just to try to show how they connect with the overall bigger picture of the universe. I'm really into trying to get people to understand, or at least try to understand and connect with the mystery of our world. Because there's a lot of mystery there that when you get into it, it can really, you know, get your imagination going.
Yeah, absolutely.
Spent a lot of time. Um, a lot of my childhood experiences involve camping, being outside at night, and I think one of the things I've been trying to do, addition with my artwork, is to through my artwork show people that hey, there's another world out there at night to experience, and try to go out there and look at the sky for a while, and you might find something. So it's just encouraging people to look outside, but to ultimately look inside.
I love that. I think that's a great goal to have with artwork, and um, yeah, I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Um, when you are about to take on a project, whatever the medium may be, what kind of environment do you like to set for yourself? Are you listening to music? Are you listening to a podcast? Are you working in
I
silence?
love to be listening to music while I work, and I usually listen to a lot of my own, contemporary rock and roll or alternative type music. I love in my classroom. I let kids listen to music. Some of them listen on their headphones, or they listen to my music if it's playing. So I understand that music can be a really important way of getting yourself inspired. And music and art really work well together.
I agree with that. It's just always interesting to hear people. Some people just
My
like to sit in silence, and
my students, they gave out awards to the teachers last year, and the award I got was best music, best music choices.
that's
So
amazing.
it's a
It's not a
real when middle school students can compliment your music choices. That's a good thing.
I would agree. I would agree, especially I feel like a lot of middle school students these days don't appreciate maybe the contemporary rock and roll type
Yeah,
music. So
I'm
that's
kind of like
awesome.
having to give them the school of rock.
I
My
love that.
battery's running low. I noticed.
Yeah,
I
no
may have
worries.
to go get a.
That was actually, I mean, that was my last question for you.
Oh, it was
Um,
okay.